All right. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me clearly? Check the chat. Make sure everything's good. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. You can hear good, loud and clear. Perfect, perfect. Hope you all are doing well this morning on this Thursday morning. I will get to the charts in just a second. Don't be so eager to get to the charts this morning. I know NQ has moved a lot overnight, but there's a lot of different factors that you need to look at before we make any decisions. Good evening from Russia. Well, good morning from America. Yes, Alex, I'll close it. It's just for the beginning of the session. Good morning, Harris. Alright, well, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the music for you guys when I'm going to put my music on. Make sure to like the video, please. Like the video, share it. That's all I ask. Yes, I know you only see the disclaimer. Give me a second. See, it's funny, some people like the music, some people don't, so I'm not gonna... You can play your own music, it's what I do. I mean, I get copyrighted for it anyways, so... Let me know if you can see the screen clearly. Do I prefer lo-fi music? At times, but I like a little bit more upbeat when I'm trading. I don't like words. I don't like anything that, you know, can emotionally charge me, but something that'll keep me focused. Looks good. It's probably on your end. There's a lot of delays in terms of likes. I mean, I got on my end 62 likes, so see if we can pump it up, spread it, share it. All right, let's dig into today. So I'm gonna go all the way out to a daily. So you've been watching the daily logs, been watching the live streams. I've been pretty heavily focused on the buy side liquidity, which is resting above price right now. And overnight we had a large expansion. Now, I'm not super fond of it because if you look at in terms of intermarket relationships, this market is extremely decoupled, meaning that they're not in sync with each other. If you look at YM, you look at Dow, it hasn't done anything in relationship to ES or NQ. I mean, ES it's spiked up a little bit higher, but not nearly as high as NQ. Dollar index is moving higher alongside NQ. So when you have these factors where the market is not in sync with each other, it's basically they're all doing separate things than what their relationship should be doing. That's probably telling you or a sign that it's low probability. And I've talked about this for a while now. Somebody's saying the screen is blurry. Maybe adjust your own settings. It should be your own settings on your screen. So knowing that, that's what's making me weary of today. Even though I still favor the buy side liquidity, which is resting up here. I've talked about this yesterday in the last night in the daily log. I never gave up on this idea of price gravitating towards the buy side liquidity. You can review last night's video. That's exactly what I talked about. Did I anticipate or expect London session to move like this? No. And the fact that the market is pretty decoupled, it's making it difficult for me to trust this. This whole week's been very, very difficult in terms of staying on one side, being confident in analysis, and we're able to predict that. I talked about it in the daily log last night. Is the daily time frame is already telling you this. It's already indicating to us that this is low probability. And if you look at the relationships between dollar index and the S&Ps, it's telling us that it's pretty low probability this week. Moving into the 1 hour, I can take this off. So we have buy side liquidity resting here in the relative equal highs. Smooth edges will be made jagged, which is a famous quote by ICT. Retail quotation, people that trade these patterns, they believe that's a resistance. They believe that's a ceiling. So where's their buy stops being placed? Well, it'll be placed above the highs here. So anybody that has buy side liquidity is above that high. I believe that could be ran today, but knowing the profile and knowing the relationships between them right now, it makes this a little bit harder to feel confident that we're going to run it. Just because you have a drawn liquidity or a model doesn't mean that it's valid. You need to have everything in line with each other. And I talk about this constantly over and over and over again because it's very, very key that you pay attention to it. It's something I wish somebody told me earlier, is to pay attention to everything, not just a model, not just a drawn liquidity. You need to pay attention to everything else that surrounds that. Looking at the 1 hour, yesterday we took out sell side liquidity, dropped into this bullish order block here, and then we displaced higher. Overnight we have this large expansion, which if you're not trading that session, or if you're not awake like me, I was sleeping, then it is what it is. I can't be mad or upset. I mean, you can't predict those type of moves. So obviously that's something I would have liked in like today's session, but we couldn't get it. So we have to work with what we have now. We're inside of a 1 hour fair value gap here. We have, this is the current new week opening gap and a old new week opening gap. And look at the respect that we've gotten over the last few days and basically last week here on this old new week opening gap, and even currently. So for me, I'm being very weary. If everything was in alignment, meaning if dollar index was dropping lower, YM was in sync with ES and NQ, and even if ES was super in sync with NQ, then I would be fairly confident that we're going to run the buy side and carry on higher today. So you have to be wary of that. I will pull up the SMT chart so you understand what I'm talking about if you don't have these relationships up. So let's go out to a daily chart, and you can see the clear distinction in what I mean by a decoupled market. Look at where, in terms of price, look at where NQ or YM is trading compared to NQ and ES. So NQ is above yesterday's high. ES is nowhere, it's semi near it, and YM is not even close to it. It's actually pressing lower to underneath yesterday's low. So we're just going to have to see. We just opened up. If we run the buy side liquidity, I'm perfectly okay with that being ran and me not participating in it. So let me drop down into the 5-minute chart here. We have a 5-minute fair value gap there. This is the old new week opening gap and the current new week opening gap. Because my idea is if things stay decoupled, then we may run the buy side and there may be a drop lower. So even though it's what I wanted and I anticipated the buy side being ran, I don't particularly care if I miss the move. It's just kind of is what it is. You can see here it's more than likely going to run it. So what I'm kind of anticipating is if we run the buy side liquidity and we get a sudden displacement lower, then to me it's just a run above buy side liquidity, a turtle soup, and we could possibly run lower. And it's just kind of what my thoughts are currently going into today. So hopefully that's clear. If you look at dollar index as well, I would really need dollar index to drop lower if I wanted to be extremely bullish on today for NQ, which so far it really hasn't been this whole week. Thank you, Gordon. That's exactly what I was going to do. So this RTH gap here, we just opened up. This is today's open price and yesterday's closing price. So it's a very large liquidity void that you don't see on electronic trading hours. So if we take out the buy side liquidity, I'm curious to see if we get a drop lower. To be honest with you, even though the drawn liquidity is fairly clean in terms of liquidity pool, it's really making me cautious with the intermarket relationships. I would just rather sit this out. And that's just personally me. So you have the old new week opening gap, small fair value gap in here. And this is the 1 hour fair value gap as well. Good to hear, Gordon. That book is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Will I check Euro USD? No, I will not. Yeah, that was kind of my intention. Because I even woke up this morning and before I even got on the charts, I was looking at my phone. If the market stays decoupled like this, I probably would just do a psychology talk for the live stream. Yeah, indices feed is incorrect. I mean, if you're using US 100, each broker is going to be different on the feed. That's why if you're trading indices, I would suggest just utilizing NQ in the contract to at least analyze it, and then if you're trading it, then go to your broker, your indices feed. But all indices are going to be different because each broker has different feeds. It's the reason why I don't really like trading indices, because A, the spread, and B, there's um, different feeds. So A, the premise of the video or live streams is to be waiting for the silver bullet. So this will happen if you trade the silver bullet, is where the opening range, there's a clear draw on liquidity, there may be a really nice entry pattern, and you have to sit it out, and you have to be disciplined. So for me, it's really what I'm trying to display is waiting for the silver bullet, not executing before that, even though I have a couple times before the silver bullet on live streams. Um, but I really want to make that a point to kind of show you guys that you don't need to be participating in the opening range all the time. You can just wait for the silver bullet, regardless of how clean quotation price looks. So I just want to see if we can get above 1757. And then after that, as we move into the silver bullet, I'll kind of reanalyze and see where we're at. So silver bullet is here. We'll just have to see what price looks like by the time we get there. And if you look at YM is so out of sync with NQ and ES, it's crazy. And even dollar index is going higher. So to me, I would just elect to do nothing. Even though I can see a draw on liquidity, I can see where price could potentially go. It's just things are not in my favor. I can't emphasize that enough. Hopefully the stream's coming across clear because I see a little internet bar. Yeah, FEG. Hopefully my internet clears up. So far, it looks like the health of the stream is still alright, so just let me know if in the chat or if anything happens. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. How many people are getting caught going long in here? I have a feeling it's a lot of people. Or even going short, you know, because of the buy side liquidity. So for me, I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm going to do nothing. But let's say this is a different type of market profile with the same pool of liquidity. If dollar index was in sync, moving lower very clearly, YM was in sync with NQ, same with ES if ES was in sync, this would be fairly easy for me to want to go long in. I'd feel a lot more confident. I'd have more evidence behind me. Gordon, it depends what time frame you're talking about. So we have this fair value gap in here and the old new week opening gap. That's basically the last point of interest. If you were trying to go long in here and trying to get into the buy side, that would be the last point of interest. Because if we trade beneath this fair value gap, then we would probably look to clean up the sell side in here. Which may be on the table if once we clear the buy side. I see Six Sister on 1 hour NQ. I mean, if you look at it, you could see a bearish divergence. You could also see a bullish divergence. And even with dollar index being completely decoupled away from them, it's like I particularly don't know what the valid divergence would be. Just looking at a 15-minute chart here. Drop down into this fair value gap there. I'm actually going to pull this over. Just so I remember that the RTH gap is still underneath us. Alex, yeah, I mean, I can check it, but it's probably on my end. So hopefully it clears up here. Let me know if you guys can still hear. Yeah. Alright, I turned off a couple things in my house to hopefully get the stream a little bit better. So let me know if it's clearing up now. Still saying error on my end. Yeah, just give it a few moments. It may clear up here. Alright, I think the stream's a little bit better now. So just let me know. Because it says on my end that everything's good. It's good, yeah. If I can just get a 1 in the chat if everything's good now. It's about like a 30-second delay I'm seeing. That's by the time I said that to where you guys are typing in the chat, it's about 30 seconds. So, yes, I'm using OBS. As far as the current market, as long as we're good on streaming, this is the range I don't want to be participating in. And you can predict that through the relationships that we just talked about. If you take a look at dollar index is moving higher. Dow is completely making a new low of the day, while NQ is making basically a new high of the day, and ES is stagnant. So take a look at those relationships, pay attention to them, and journal that. If they're all doing completely separate things, it's really something that you should be paying attention to and aware of. It's like a red light screaming to you that sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Which one to trust? I don't trust any of them. I'm not going to do anything. So that's just personally me. Just chilling, waiting. You have to remember too is on Tuesday, I've already taken a trade and I'm already up on the week about 60 handles. So I'm not going to give back my own profit from the week on an untrustworthy setup. That's the way I'm viewing it. And you have to remember, we're waiting for the silver bullet. So even though if you can see a clear draw on liquidity before the open, before silver bullet happens, you're just exercising your discipline to wait for the silver bullet. And you know with enough information and data that the silver bullet, for most of the time, provides a setup. So even though if you miss something prior to the open, or prior to the silver bullet, you know with enough data and statistics that the silver bullet will provide something for you. And that's how you have confidence in your own model and your own system, is you have enough data, you have enough back testing, you have enough forward testing, you have enough experience with it to know that it will provide. And this is where fear of missing out kind of eliminates itself, because you've been through it. You know exactly what your model provides, when it provides, and you never fear because you've seen this play out so many times to where you can confidently just sit through a potential setup and just not take it. You don't have to take every single setup just because it's there. Why do they do this though? Are they waiting for something specific? It could be on a higher time frame, actually like a shift in sentiment. Sometimes they're just out of sync with each other. What's the silver bullet timing for Forex? It's still the same time. I think somebody asked about the fee. Yeah, if you have to pay for live data. So you'll see a D at the top of your screen instead of market open, and it's delayed about 10-15 minutes. So you have to pay about $5 for CME data to get live data. Otherwise, you can use indices because they don't require live data feed. But as I discussed, I saw it come up. Yes, I use NQ when I was trading indices. I would use NQ to analyze, and I would enter in on indices. But you do have to pay attention to your broker and kind of where their price feed is at, because sometimes it's extremely manipulated. And I can't stress enough, this is exactly what I would not want to be a part of. For the first 20 minutes, if I was to go long in here and try to tag the buy side, look at where we've been at. Just range bound, back and forth trading. And potentially, you'd be getting stopped out in here. But how did we know this? How would you have been able to predict this? Intermarket relationships. Put it in your notebook. If you're sitting here with the intent of learning, have a notebook next to you and write down the things that I'm saying, because this is all coming from the source, which is ICT. And then go back into your own charts. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Go into your own charts and look at the feeds yourself and see what I'm saying and what he says is true. Any tips for being disciplined? That is a long discussion and subject that I may get into today. We'll see. Discipline is really not your issue when it comes to trading. It's more or less being able to recognize your emotions before they play out. And that is a long-winded discussion. Solitude, I appreciate you, brother, but I mean, if you want to give advice on your own trading, please do that in your own channel. You stopped me from taking stupid trades. Yep, that's where experience, when I'm trying to lend to all of you my experience, I'm trying to lend you from making stupid decisions. Yeah, A7, I mean, and that's where experience, I'm able to tell this before the open. I'm able to look at the market and go, yeah, this is probably going to be a really sloppy day and or probably a really sloppy opening range. Through experience, what are the best months? Typically March, April, and May are really clean, and then September, October, and November are very, very clean as well. So really the spring and the fall are really, really good months to be trading. June and July can be good as well, but sometimes the summer can be a little bit slower. And then typically you don't want to be trading August, December, and even January. Remember the time of the year? We're still inside of January. So per ICT, it's not something that we should be doing. Why are we sitting on our hands accidental? I feel like a broken record. But if it's not clear why we're sitting on our hands, let's look at the daily time frame. Look at where we're at. We've been in consolidational profile all week. B, look at the relationships between ES, NQ, and Dow. They're completely decoupled. Dow is doing something completely different than NQ and ES. It's making a new low of the day, while NQ is trading towards the new high of a day. Do you see how those are completely different than each other? It's out of sync. Now let's look at dollar index. Dollar index is trading higher. If we want to be longing NQ, then we would need dollar index to be going lower. So I can't be confident in going long in NQ if dollar index is moving higher and YM is making a new low of the day, while ES is basically in the middle of them. So does that make sense what we're doing here? Why I'm sitting on my hands? And to kind of add into that is we're waiting for the silver bullet, because the silver bullet particularly takes away the first 30-minute range, which sometimes can be manipulation, consolidational, seek and destroy. So you're able to sit that first 30 minutes out, which probably 90% of you take a lot of your losses in the first 30 minutes of the day. So if you're able to exit that out of your strategy and out of your plan, you're focusing on 1 hour window, which you could do a lot of damage in 1 hour, but you're trying to minimize as much damage as you possibly can to your trading, right? And if this thing goes long and tags the buy side liquidity, I don't care. I genuinely couldn't care less, because I know I'm following the rules and the things that are set out for me, which is if things are decoupled, they're not in sync with each other, then I'm not going to be trading it. Just because something is appearing to me on a particular day that, yes, I could see this being ran, but my rules are saying don't do it. So I can't just disregard my own rules because they're set in place for a particular reason, to protect me. So I have to listen to that. I have to listen to my own experience and what it's telling me to do. Am I waiting for DXY to turtle soup? I would be waiting for dollar index to be showing any clear signs of dropping lower. I would need Dow to be moving in sync. There's a lot of variables at play right now that are not in favor. All right, Solitude. I'm sorry, brother. I gotta mute you. If you're gonna give your own trading advice on streams, I don't understand it. Just do it in your own channel. I don't understand people that come to other people's streams and try to give trading advice. Like, just create your own channel and live stream. It makes no sense. I try to focus on the good, and I try to focus on the people who are trying to learn in here, but times live streaming just is, it's quite irritating. Yeah, it's all right, Justin. I removed them, so it's all right. They do FEG. It's the most NPC responses I've ever seen in my life. So on the 15-minute, we have this bullish order block here, and we're still kind of just riding this fair value gap plus the old new week opening gap, which I've stated that's the last point of interest if it was going to go long in here. Thank you, Harris. That's fine. Well, I got OCD too, so if you haven't noticed. Let me check where we're at. 373 viewers. Amazing. Welcome for all of those who are new. I know today may be a little bit more boring, but these are the streams and sessions that I've really cherished with ICT live streaming because they taught me so much. If you're able, and he says this all the time, if he was able to write a book, he would write a book on when not to trade, when not to do something. And that's what I really try to emphasize in my own trading is when not to do something. Because if you're able to do that, then obviously you're able to execute in times when you should be doing something. So you only really get that, idea of when not to do something through either experience or somebody else lending you that experience. What's going on, Rista? Good to see you in here. Yeah, I know, Wolf. It's not TG. It's not Friday yet, so it's Thursday. Do I think we get that? I mean, could get it tomorrow. I'm in 2% drawdown because you didn't take any stupid trades. Good. And I said, I'm just giving my own personal advice and my opinion. If you feel as if you should be, taking a particular trade right now, then don't let me waver you away from it. But I don't particularly see this as a favorable condition to be trading in. MHS, good to see you here. Welcome for all those who are new. I really do appreciate it. I know I've been getting a lot of new viewers this week and even last week, so I appreciate all the new viewers. Really means a lot. My moderator, if you can go over to Twitter if you have it, give me a follow on there. So if we stay like this, where it's pretty unfavorable, I already had this idea when I woke up this morning and looked at the charts. I'll probably do some type of psychology lesson and a short Q&A. Emmanuel, so BTN, the indices, US and Forex, what would you prefer to trade? I mean, if I'm trading NQ, then I'd be trading US 100. If you're asking if I would trade indices over Forex, I mean, it's just your particular style, whatever you like. I mean, I would be trading indices. So put this in your journal. Write this down, everything that I've stated this morning, why this would be even going into the opening range, how we were able to predict that this would be a sloppy opening range. This may be very boring, and it's you're not making profits. You don't have the dopamine spikes. It's not super fun. It's not what somebody told you coming into trading that I'm going to make so much money and be living a beach lifestyle. It's not what it is. This is what the cold hard reality of trading is being able to predict times when you shouldn't be trading, sitting on your hands, doing nothing. Those are the environments that are going to make you profitable. If you want to be profitable, you want to be an extremely good trader, focus on the times that you should not be trading and focus on the criteria that surrounds that, which I discussed today, what those are. Hendrik, how did you work on your mindset? I realized all things I struggle with in trading also show some relationships. I recommended a book yesterday called The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tindler. In terms of just trading, mindset, that's really helped me a lot. In life, I think that if you have a strong body, you have a strong mind. Life is very much mental. All of it really is. So if you have a strong body, it's going to make your mind strong. And I'm very consistent on discipline outside of trading because I believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're sloppy in other areas of your life, in relationships and going to the gym, then it's going to show up in your trading. The market is a direct mirror of yourself. So you have to be taking care of things outside of trading. It's not always a direct correlation, but it does have a huge impact on your trading, because if you're extremely undisciplined outside of the trading, then it's going to show up in your trading. Amazing, Rista. I have an idea. I have when I read the book, I made a Google Doc about 40 pages long of the notes. So I might go over those if today just doesn't seem high probability to me and I don't want to engage with the market. Then I will go over my notes and kind of do a lesson there. So at least I can provide some value. Justin, can you please link the book from Amazon? Ozzy, appreciate that. How did I get the indicator? It's called right here, ICT higher time frame candles. So that's the way you're able to see the daily candle, the 1 hour. And now I'm just remembering, somebody asked about my new week opening gaps. So that's the indicator in the settings. Typically you should have 4 on there. Previous new week opening gaps, but I have 3 on there currently. Adele. I got no affiliate links. Actually, I do, but I don't plug it. I don't really care. It's just for the prop firm I'm trading. But I mean, you don't make anything off of affiliate links, to be honest. So. Lyrical. I want to say to go back in the stream and watch it, because I know you're new here and probably just got here, but I've repeated it probably about 5 times now. So if you can, please just go back in the live stream, and whenever we're done here, I'll probably talk about it again at one point. Oy, do you have a 6-pack? Yeah. People ask the strangest questions, man, I swear. So you can see we got underneath this fair value gap there, and now we're underneath the old new week opening gap. The fact that we have buy side resting above it, and now we have sell side, again, this is unfavorable conditions. It's 50-50. We have a completely decoupled market, so it's just screaming low probability. If there was an indicator for low probability, I would make that. But obviously, that's from you analyzing the market and being able to determine that yourself. Moon Traveler, good to see you here. Appreciate it if you're new. I've been trading for 6 years now. I've been studying ICT for close to 4. So how much do I bench or deadlift? I don't deadlift anymore because I think it's a very stupid lift. I think you can injure yourself and it doesn't have much benefit. But as far as bench, the last one I hit was 335. So I don't really go for PRs on lifts anymore. But I've also been lifting for a long time. I mean, 24, I started when I was probably about 15 due to high school football. So I've just been consistent with lifting for a long time as well. No affiliate links, no Lambos. Yeah, right. Just raw trading, raw price action. Yeah, I don't even really bench anymore. I use dumbbells because I think your shoulders can get really messed up. I've done it before. So we have the RTH gap resting underneath price currently as well. That could be used as a draw on liquidity. Something like this where you have an RTH gap, when they're fairly large like this, what I'm paying attention to is the equilibrium of it. and even the 25% of it. It can get closed in fully, but something like this where you have a large RTH gap, and what I mean by that is just terms of points, because this is about a 100-point RTH gap. Sometimes they're only 25, 50. It doesn't mean it's more favorable or anything. It just means that if it's larger, then I'm only going to anticipate maybe the 50% or 25% to be reached into, depending on the bias of the day. Do I not trade ES? I did last year. I think it moves a little too slow sometimes for me. I like NQ because it will expand a lot. It is very wild compared to ES and YM. So if you're newer, I'd probably recommend trading ES because it's a little bit more tamed and a little bit slower. So if your recognition, your pattern recognition and execution is not as quick as you would like it to be, then I would probably recommend ES because it's a little bit slower. Yeah, and it does matter for NAS because the NAS feed is coming from the NQ contract. It's what the brokers are using. So it's why I always say if you're trading indices, use futures contracts to analyze it. Do you also try to sell the philosophy of how you do anything is how you do everything to your partner? I don't know if that was a joke or not. Maybe it went over my head. I don't have a girlfriend, so my girlfriend is NQ. You can see in here there's a lot of opportunities that people could have saw in regards to these concepts where it dropped off lower. You could have been wanting to short at this fair value gap in here. There's nothing that really is favorable to me that I want to be participating in. Trader Tom, I mean, that's fantastic, man. I love to hear that. Don't let anybody else tell you differently. You're all going to arrive on your own time when you should understand these concepts and when you reach consistent profitability. It's different for everybody else, but most people disregard ICT's advice, which is tape reading, watching price in real time, not even engaging with it, and then moving into paper trading. Because if you start to build bad habits, you start to build up these, accumulated emotions. When you move into a live account, those are all going to play out in your live account. So getting to consistent profitability on paper trading first is ideal, because then at least you have that proof and that data to back you up. Give me one piece of advice for consistent prop target. I mean, it all depends on your experience. I mean, 8% is quite aggressive, but I'm not going to be the one to tell you that, because that may be comfortable for you. Each month to me is a little bit different. I have a goal, like let's say we're shooting for 4% a month, which is fantastic. Some months you may get 6, some months you may get 8, some months you may get 10, some months you may get 2, some months may be break even. So you should have a goalpost and something you're shooting for, but each month's going to be different. There's seasonalities, there's tendencies to the market to where sometimes you can really press into your model and things are just in your favor, constantly moving, and then some months are break even or even losses. And that's where people could get caught up in the consistent profitability. Really think about what it means to be a consistent profitable trader. Because if I didn't think about that for a long time, and I really thought about it deeply, and I thought, okay, what does it look like? What's the reality of it? And the reality is there's going to be months where you're at break even or even negative. And there's some months where you're doing exceptionally well, and you're making up for those months where you weren't doing so well. So the whole key is to obviously have really good risk management, be protecting your capital as much as you possibly can. Every month's not going to be profitable. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it's the reason why you need to look through the lens of a yearly lens. And if you have a bad month or a couple bad months, you know that you still have the rest of the year to do well or even, make back what you did lose. Don't take your progress at face value. Don't sit here and because you lost a trade, your whole life's over. You know, that one trade, that was a make or break it. That's my whole career. That's going to determine who I am. That's not true at all. Even a month, even a couple months, even 6 months. You could have a terrible 6 months of trading, and the next 6 months could be amazing. So that's what a reality of a consistent profitability trader looks like, is looking through the lens of a long-term view, right? Francis, yeah, I think that's a perfect statement. Do I trade the macros? Yeah, it just depends on the criteria around it. I mean, I don't pay attention to any other streamers or what they're doing, but let me know what they're doing, because they're probably in here doing a lot of different things, and I'm doing nothing because there is nothing here for me to do anything with, and I'm extremely happy about that. It makes me happy that I'm able to recognize this and have the experience to do nothing, because in my old self, my old ways, I probably could have took 2 or 3 or 4 losses by now, and I would have been tilting, raging, trying to long this, trying to short it, and would have destroyed all my profits in less than an hour. Marco, yeah. Um, I found trading when I was 18, so I relate to you. It's fantastic that you found it even at a younger age. Don't be um, don't be influenced by a lot of social media and the lifestyles that these things portray when it comes to trading, because there's a lot of fugazi out there, Lambo lifestyle and living on a beach and trading. That's none of that's reality. That's all fake. It's hard work. It's discipline. It's years of consistency, grinding, a lot of losses, a lot of years of doubt and fear, and not knowing if you're ever going to make it. It's all of that. That's the reality of what trading really looks like. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, if you want to learn ICT, has a YouTube channel called Inner Circle Trader. Thank you for that, Laurent. That means a lot. What's the difference you see now that prevents you from trading this? It's still the same thing. I mean, we do have a bullish SMT with Dow making a new low of the day. Um, dollar index looks like it's starting to drop off lower in here. So I'm not going to be surprised if we run the buy side, but again, I'm not going to be upset that I missed that move, quotation, because I stayed disciplined. I mean, really, where was I going to enter into this? I mean, I could enter in now. I could do it. I'm going to miss the move. I don't care. It means nothing to me. I mean, what is the move to the buy side? Maybe 20 points, 20 handles? To risk what? I mean, you have to go back to what I was mentioning yesterday with your mental capital tokens. I mean, am I going to risk my mental capital on a day like right now? I don't see it as favorable. I don't see that as something that is a good ROI. Is a personal preference that you do not auto sync your chart markups on different time frames. Um, I think you're talking about visibility. Yeah, I personally don't like to have annotations from a daily time frame on my 1 minute. It's too much clutter. I can I can just click the button to go out to the daily and see where it's at. I don't need to have it on there. Out of all the models taught by Michael, which is your favorite? Yeah, this is the same question I had as a newer student. I see this question a lot from a lot of people: is what is your favorite model? Which one's the best? There's no model that's perfect. There's no model that's going to be 100% accurate, and there's no one that's better than another. I have 3 models that I've taught on YouTube that it's labeled charter member models. They're my models. That um, one of them is ICT's model, which is the 2022. I think it's the most simplistic, easiest model. But A model by itself means nothing. It's the question that I get all the time is what model is the best? But a model by itself, a fair value gap by itself, an order block by itself, etc. means nothing. You need to be looking at what is the higher time frame narrative, what's the draw on liquidity. If I can't clearly identify that, then it's probably low probability. What's the relationships with SMT? What's the relationship with dollar? What's the relationships with bonds? What's the relationships with Forex? You need to be looking at all of the information, taking it all in. And I know that seems like a lot to a newer student because it is, but if you just start practicing it, it becomes easier. And you begin to understand that all of these things actually do matter because they're all playing a role. And you're seeing it live right here, right now, where I was able to identify all of those different things to where I wouldn't want to be trading this opening range. But if I only knew the model, if I only knew a fair value gap, I would have been in here trying to long it, trying to short it, trying to do anything. So that's why I state that a model alone means nothing. A PD array alone means nothing. Hopefully that makes sense. It's one thing I wish somebody told me. ICT just posted a video on where, if you're a new student to his, he basically broke down a video on where to start on his channel, where you should start learning, and going from there. Justin, can you take care of a couple of questions in there? Thank you. So let's go out to a higher time frame again and just kind of get a brief overview of everything. So look at the daily time frame and where we're at. Been trading inside of this range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days now. So A, that's a number one low probability indication. We're not clearly moving to one side just yet. B, if you take a look at, let's go over to dollar index. Dollar index is a inverse correlation to index futures, NQ, ES, YM. So preferably, if you're trying to long NQ, we would want dollar index to be moving lower, which on the daily time frame here, it's quite indecisive to me. And even on the weekly I've discussed yesterday in the day logs. If I was to be very confident in longing NQ and maintaining that idea, I would really need dollar index to be moving lower and off of this weekly bearish order block. Even the daily time frame, we're digging up into this premium. We didn't close above the Sibian here, this fair value gap there, but to me it's not clear that this wants to move off lower. I do still favor the sell side. That's really what I'd be looking at on dollar index. So we have the relative equal lows here, and then in general that low down there. What would make me kind of abandon the idea of a bearish dollar? Well, if dollar closes above the daily, the 4-hour fair value gap in here, and we start gravitating higher to the buy side here, then I would abandon the idea of this thing going lower. So right now, I can see both sides. I can see that dollar's driving higher, and if this thing starts to move off higher, then that would push NQ, ES, and YM lower. So I can't just force my hand. I can't just force the idea that dollar's going to move lower, because there's not enough information for me to make that decision. So that has to do with psychology as well as forcing your hand in these markets. You can't do that because it's going to hand you your ass. If you just try to force your own will, then obviously you're fighting a force that is much greater than you. I can see how we could move lower in here, but I don't have enough confirmation. And what would that look like? Well, I would need some sudden displacement here, lower. I would need the daily time frame to be looking like it would be primed to move lower. Weekly time frame, I would need an expansion away from the bearish order block. There's a lot of different things that would need to be in place for me to really, really favor that. And again, if we close above the SIBI, then I would abandon the bearish idea, and I would be looking for the buy side. Look at the correlation between YM right now. YM is it made a new low of the day, while ES is basically in the middle of NQ and ES, or NQ and YM. Hasn't made a new high of the day, hasn't made a new low of the day. Look at NQ. NQ's made a new high of the day. So look at the correlation between them. That's a decoupled market. So you don't want to be trading in that. That's how we were able to identify the opening range was probably going to be low probability, and I can't push it. And look, for an hour now, we've been sitting inside of a probably 20 to 30 point range. We've done nothing today. So, I mean, it's been about 70 point range, but still very small, tight range doing nothing. Thank you, Justin. How would you go about passing a funded account? Well, if I was to do a challenge, which I do, for me particularly, I like to be aggressive on the challenges, and then I can be conservative on the funding account, because I don't want to spend 3 months on a funding challenge just to fail it, and I just wasted 3 months. Or the prop firm goes under, and I just wasted 3 months of my time and my money for the prop firm to go under. So you're going to see this week I'm withdrawing out of my funded account, because if you're ever in a funded account, you need to be pulling money out of it. I've seen in my time a lot of prop firms go under. I really don't know where the future holds for them. I don't know if they're going to be here forever. So I like to take my money and run with it, because I don't know if those things are going to go under or not. They're fairly new to the trading industry. And be very cautious on which ones you pick and the criteria that they have. Yeah, Rista, I mean, that's really my mentality, is if it doesn't meet my criteria, then I do nothing. And I think that just comes from a lot of losses, man. I mean, I can't stress enough how much losses, blown accounts, how much failure I've experienced, to the point where I just say, you know what, man, I'm not doing anything unless it meets my criteria, because I've experienced way too much pain to even, I don't want to experience it again. I don't want to go through it. And if you're extremely stubborn like me, it takes a lot of pain and suffering to get through to your head that, okay, I need to stop doing this stuff. I need to stop making these mistakes, because it's never going to work. Probably about 4, almost into 5 years, it really clicked for me. And I'm still learning and progressing every single day. I think no matter what in your trading career, you're always learning, you're always progressing. So I don't think there is a point to where quotation you've made it, but I think you're always progressing, you're always learning something new. Good, Macro. Those are the type of comments I want to see. I don't want to see, I mean, I'm happy for those. I saw somebody just passed a fund account or whatever, but I like to see, taking notes on when not to trade, taking notes on the things that I'm stating, because that's really what I'm trying to teach. It says the stream health is poor, so let me know if it's still alright. What did you miss? Did you take a trade? Nope, I haven't taken a trade. Yeah, Rista. I mean, it's a good thing, man. It's a it's a blessing and a curse to have a lot of passion and a lot of drive behind this career and to make it and to be successful. But that can also be your kind of your downfall, because not your downfall, but kind of like a crutch for you, which it was for me. Is you're extremely competitive. You want to do extremely well in this career, but the only person that you're really competing with is yourself. You're not competing with these markets. You're not competing with anybody else. You're competing with all of your bad habits, all of your demons, all the things that make you do bad things in these markets. That's the person that you're competing with. Bro, when was your last trade? It was on Tuesday. So I've done nothing for basically the last 2 days. Um, Donovan, I really appreciate that, man. I'm glad that new people are coming here and they're learning. How long did it take me to get consistent? About 4 to 5 years. I had to take a month off of trading about 6 or 7 months ago after blowing funded accounts. Yeah, um, I've done that before. I've never taken a month off, but I've taken a week or two off after. You just have to kind of let yourself chill out. That's really good. Nobody talks about that, mental health, when it comes to trading. But taking time off, letting yourself chill out. Um, Once the bug bites you, it's over. And once you can see that you can make a living from this, um, it will never leave you alone. You will always constantly probably gravitate back to these markets. And for me, I'm not going to die on my deathbed with the regret of knowing that I could have made it in this. That's what always kept me going in the times where I was just failing over and over and over again for years. Is just knowing that I can't live with the idea of me not knowing if I could have been successful at this. So for me, that's a huge pivot. Is just knowing that I'm gonna die getting good at this, or that's that's my mentality. Uh, I'm never gonna give it up. I'm never gonna stop doing it. I'm in love with it. So you're gonna know if this is meant for you or not, and you'll probably know that within the first month or two. I've seen so many people throughout my career, friends, family, try this out for a little bit, and it's just not for them. But then there's some people like me that I've met that are absolute nutcases and they're obsessed with it. And you know that person is meant for it. Success is never guaranteed. So that's another. I use fear to motivate myself as well, because even if I grind this out for 20, 30 years of my life, I may never be, back then I could have never been successful at this. And I use that fear to motivate me, because just because you sit down, you watch videos, you're at the charts, and you're present, it does not mean you're guaranteed success. You're not owed shit in this life. So you have to be willing to understand that you have to be the one to put in the work to stop making the mistakes and the things that you know you're doing wrong. Good to see that, Nick. Yeah, I mean, if you're already 3 years in and you still have the same passion, the same drive, if not even more than when you started, I mean, you're meant for it. Does that mean you're going to be successful? Not necessarily, but it means that um, you're willing to do the work or whatever it takes to be successful. So that's a really good pro. Just to make note of what price is doing. I mean, would any of you really, if you're neutral, you haven't taken any trades today, would you really want to be participating in this? I wouldn't. It would be a failure as an educator to sit here and say that you should be trading in this. ICT would 100% say do not be trading in this. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I hate to be boastful or ego, but I mean, you can see the difference between myself and other people that haven't been through years of pain and suffering. I mean, you can't teach that. Like, that's just personal experience. Yeah, and you can see in the chat, there's a lot of people that have been trading for a long time and haven't been consistently profitable yet. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. The view on getting consistently profitable is so skewed in this social media world. I mean, to me, it's going to take. I mean, if you put your all into it, I hate saying this because everybody's different, but I would say bare minimum 2 years. I mean, a year of demo, paper trading, tape reading ICT's concepts, and then another year of applying it, and then probably another year. So, I mean, set your scope to like a. People go to college for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. Um, I mean, at the bare minimum, look at it as a college degree, a bachelor's degree, where you grind it out for 4 years, potentially even 6 to 8. I mean, if somebody guaranteed you that you're going to be successful in 8 years, would you continue to keep grinding even though you lost for 5 years? I know I would. I knew on that 8th year that I'd become successful, and that's basically what college should, be doing. Is if you study for 8 years and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, then yeah, you are semi-guaranteed a job that will pay you well. And that's the way I view it. Is if you just grind this out for a certain amount of years, eventually you'll become successful. So we're moving higher. I wouldn't be surprised if we take out the buy side. I mean, that's pretty favorable to me, but does it mean I need to take a trade on it? No. I mean, look at this range today. We've done nothing. I mean, we're moving towards basically the end of the silver bullet, which is crazy how much time we've spent. So there's the buy side being tagged. What I would just be curious to see going into the later portions of today is, do we drop lower after taking out the buy side? I don't particularly see that as favorable. I still see NQ being quite bullish in here. But as we've described, this whole opening range, you shouldn't feel any guilt or be mad at yourself for not taking a trade in here. I mean, even though we could see where the draw on liquidity was, there was no reason to be inside of this range. To me, there's no reason to be in it. In hindsight, you could have been long in here, but I mean, there really wasn't anything. So I'm happy. I'm very, very proud that I was able to sit through the opening range and do nothing. That's the way you need to view it in your own journals as well. Good morning, Danny. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. As much as everybody else says, I think it's perfectly okay to not even take a trade in a whole week. I mean, if that's your particular style, is to not even take 1 to 2 trades a month, I don't see any issue with it. It's a level of patience, but some weeks you're not going to have a bunch of opportunities, so you have to get in there. And if you only have to take 1 trade in a week, that's how you maintain consistent profitability. Consistent profitability is not you getting in there every single day and pushing a button. It's not a video game. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Justin. Assuming you asked what the silver bullet afternoon, yeah, it's 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern or New York local Central Time, and then 1 to 2 p.m. Central Time. Roosta, I mean, it just depends on the week, because some weeks, I particularly, it depends on how much, kind of the first or two trades. If I have made a significant amount, then I'll probably taper off, and in general, I'll give a general rule, I'm probably looking at 3 to 4. But so far this week, I've only taken one, because the market has really only allowed me to take one. So, I mean, this goes for questions about how many trades do I take in a month, in a year. I mean, it just depends on the profile and what the market is giving me. Alex, amazing. Love to hear that. Do you have a preference, either long or short? Nope. It's same thing for me. Here's a little weird psychology thing I learned in the first years of my trading. Is there's a invert scale. They can flip your chart upside down, and let's just say you have a preference of shorting. You can see things a little bit more clearly on just shorting wise. You could flip your chart and invert it and just see what it looks like from that standpoint of view. To me, it makes no difference. But Trader Tom, glad to hear that. It seems like a very common theme. And I don't know if that's for every streamer or if it's just me. I don't know what I generally have never really tuned into anybody else's streams, so I don't know what they talk about or what they discuss or do. Hosel, yeah, that is taboo, right? But I mean, the concepts speak for themselves. It's the proof is in the pudding. Alt-I? Oh, you're teaching me new things, huh? Oh, look at that little hotkey. Cool. Didn't know that. So the fact that we've taken out buy-side liquidity, if you look at ES is nowhere near where NQ is trading in terms of correlation. Same with YM is way out there. It's not even close. So I wouldn't be surprised if this turtle soup the high and we possibly run for the sell side underneath the lows in here. I wouldn't be in favor of taking any trades today. I'm just wait for another day. You could think of your trading in the sense of like a magazine and a gun. You only want to be shooting, let's say you only have 2 bullets for the whole week. Well, I'm not going to use a bullet on a day where it's just kind of, it could go here, it could go there, I don't really know. Why would I use a bullet on that? That is a very precious investment. I'm not going to just shoot it out into the wind because I feel like it. I have to utilize it on a target that makes sense and has logic behind it, and there's things in there that evoke me to take a trade. So there's a lot of different analogies when it comes to trading and psychology. Whatever really helps you the most. I've made up my own throughout the years, but it's whatever really connects with you the most. I think analogies really do help. They were doing an animal quiz over the... What does that even mean? That's hilarious. I mean, if you guys want to learn about some animals, we could do that, but I don't see the point. No, I'm not military at all. I think that trading is probably, if you've been here a long time, it's one of the most hardening, callousing things you can do for your mind. So over years of it, you probably do grow into a very, I would say, a military mindset, because it's very do this or don't do that, and very instruction based, disciplined mentality. How do you know if New York session is consolidating? Is because of the long session. I've discussed it about, I think, 10 times now. I don't mean to be rude by any means. I've repeated myself a lot, so if you don't mind, you can go back through the session, and I've explained it. It has to do with intermarket relationships, what we did overnight. I mean, that's a huge point that I actually didn't mention, is overnight, if you have a large expansion throughout the London session, the New York session can be consolidational or seek and destroy. And look at the London session and how much we expanded overnight. So we expanded a lot, and then coming into New York, it was very consolidational. Did I go to college? Yeah. I went for 1 year, and I found out about trading about 6 months in. This can go to your question as well, Emmanuel, while we're sitting here. Just, I guess, a brief overview of my story and what I've gone through. I'm not going to give all the details, but when I was in college, I was 18. I found out about trading through a network marketing company called IML. So iMarkets Live. If you've been around long enough, you know what that is. It was a network marketing company that provided education on Forex, and it is a pyramid scheme in a sense. Network marketing is still legal, but in a sense, they were recruiting you to learn about Forex, and then if you got other people to join, then you would get a commission off of it. So I learned that, or I got to learn Forex trading through that network marketing company, and I was learning it for about 6 months in college, and then after I learned, the premise of trading, I decided to drop out of college, and I traded retail concepts because ICT was not that popular back in 2017, 2018. He was not this popular. He was very not known at all. He had less than 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So about a year or two into my trading, I was just trading trend lines, indicators, patterns, harmonic patterns, etc. And then I stumbled across ICT, and even then I was still very hesitant. I wasn't open-minded, because basically what he was telling me was everything I've been learning was a lie. And I was like, who the hell is this guy to tell me that everything I've learned is a lie? I can clearly see that my trend line's working. Look at it. I have messages from an old buddy where he was telling me, oh, this stuff works. And I'm like, no, look at my trend line. It works. But as I got to open up my mind and I got to see that, okay, he's actually telling the truth. From there, I was sold. And I went through basically a year of his YouTube page, free content. And then I joined his 2021 mentorship. And then from there, I've just continued to grind. MLM is a multi-level marketing. I was majoring in criminology. I did want to be a police officer, but God had some different plans for me. Yeah, I guarantee you a lot of people are from IM or IML. So it got changed from IML, iMarkets Live, to IM Academy about, I think, a couple years in. Yeah. How much was ICT's mentorship? I paid $150 a month, and then a couple other extra fees. I think it was like $2,000 in total. That's why a lot of charter members are a little pissed off that he's posting all of this content on YouTube for free, but I don't blame him when a lot of these people are ripping him off and making thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars off of selling his charter membership content. Those people are scumbags. I mean, I know everybody's got to do what they got to do to make money, but you're completely ripping off somebody else. So, I still don't understand it, because if you have all the information, why don't you just utilize it and make money rather than selling it? My learning as a lie was personal. Yeah, it was personal. I was pissed. I mean, imagine working out for like 2 years and then you look in the mirror and you're fatter than you basically were. And that's how it was for me. I was like, well, what the hell did I just do this all for? I got to restart. But I just said, I don't care how long this takes me. However long it takes, then I'm going to keep grinding. So I basically had to restart at 2 years in and then learn ICT for 4. And here I am. So if you're wondering why I've been trading for like 6 years, it's because of that. And if your reason why I'm not talking about prices is because I don't see anything. If it continues to move off higher, then it is what it is. I mean, look at the 5-minute. There's no imbalances in price. Sell side liquidity underneath us. Decoupled market. It can have it. I don't care. If it runs off, then so be it. There'll be another day. No way I see. Yeah, it was cheaper. So I was actually in a couple groups, and then I saw ICT, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay for his and dig into it. Which it was not easy. Everybody thinks that it was like super easy mentorship. I mean, he's gotten so much better as a mentor and as an educator as the years gone on. He's made it easier for people. Like for me, it was like a fire hose. He sprayed everything at me. I didn't really know what to do. I really had to simplify it myself over the years. Roost, I mean, that's really my mentality, is an abundant mindset. Because if something's not really favorable to me and I can't clearly see it, well then I know that there's going to be another day, there's another week. I don't have to make money right now. I'm not in need of it, which has to go in psychology. And you shouldn't be trading when you don't have money and you need to be paying bills and stuff like that. You need to have income coming in. You need to have capital built up to where you're not stressing. You don't need to make money right now because you can't force that. You can't force when you need to make money in these markets. That's not a reality. Because if I tried to do that today, I'm guaranteed I probably would have lost. Please answer me. Yeah, I mean, you can only use a fair value gap and you can be profitable. You don't need everything. But if I'm able to learn everything and I'm able to utilize everything, I don't see the reason why not to learn that. To me, that question screams that you particularly don't want to put in the work to know everything. At least that's the way I'm viewing that. Why is replay mode active? I don't know. Probably just because I clicked it on accident. Yes, you can. You can be profitable with only a fair value gap. Yes, you can. That's the entire 2022 model. Doesn't mean you're going to be extremely profitable. I mean, you could be more profitable than somebody that knows everything about these markets. It's all about yourself and how you manage your capital and how you manage the model. If I only knew a fair value gap, which is primarily what I use to enter in the market, I mean, you could be extremely successful. You only need a small number of things from ICT's teachings, which number one is time, number two would be liquidity. So if you have those two things, then you're in the right direction. Yeah, Josel, but the unfortunate truth and reality is people are not going to cherish all that information. they're going to just overlook it because it's not being charged. Even myself, all the information, the free information that I give, I think is far superior than most people's content that they put out. But people don't look at it or value it because I don't charge any money for it. So I guess there's pros and cons to it. If you're smart, you'll see the value in it and you'll value it. So we have about 5 minutes to the close of the silver bullet window. Look at today and the price action that we've had. Very lethargic, not doing much. Very happy that I didn't do anything, didn't engage with the market, didn't spend my mental capital token on something that was not worthy of it. So do I have another chart that is showing NQ respecting daily for value gap? No, but I don't. If you're experienced enough and you analyze these markets every single day, I know what the daily chart is doing. I can see that in my head. I know where we're at in price. I know exactly where we're at in the feed. I know we're right above the daily inversion, and I'm not even looking at it. So we're above it. Yes, we're inside of this, but just because there's a fair value gap doesn't mean to automatically short. The narrative is still bullish, so we could have a small retracement off of it, but Nico, that's all right, man. Good to have you here. That's all right if you don't talk and you're just listening. I get it. I mean, that's how I was for the majority of my career. This is my mentality, is especially when somebody had way more knowledge than me, and whatever, this goes for anything in life, but especially in trading. If somebody had more knowledge than me and they clearly knew more than me, I just shut my mouth and I listen. I don't talk. I don't try to interrupt them. If I have a certain question that I deem is valuable to that person, not a question that can be answered through my own research, which a lot of your questions could probably be answered by just doing your own research, and that will help you because you're doing that own research on yourself. If I ever had somebody that had more knowledge than me, I shut up, I listen, I take notes, and I apply what they're saying. Especially with ICT. I mean, even being in his charter membership, I mean, I probably have asked that dude, I can count on my hands how many questions I've asked him. Because I knew if I asked him a question, it better be valuable. It better not be, hey, where do I start on the 2022 mentorship? And I'm not saying that to a newer student, but just a question that's stupid. Why would I ask a mentor that? I understand that their time is very valuable, and if it's a question that is really, really stumping me, I'm going to see if I can figure it out myself. If I can't, through other peers and other resources, then I'll go to the source and I'll see if I can get their attention to answer that question. So, I mean, that goes for all areas of life. It's making sure that if you're in a profession, make sure you're asking valuable questions. Yeah, Rista, I mean, it is the reality of it. I don't know how else I would really show like what trading is. I mean, you could show the highlights of what this life provides, but I mean, I would rather show the harsh reality of it because I like to be transparent as possible. I mean, I know there's a lot of other people who are once in my shoes and they want to be successful. They want to be being able to analyze the markets like this, and that's really what this reality is. Um, oh, that question, man. Why don't I trade euro? Because I stick to one asset class. I mean, bro, that could go for next week. I could have a silver bullet entry every single day in NQ while EU has no silver bullet. So I can't just be flippy floppy 50-50. All right, I'm going to trade this asset class this day. I'm going to trade this one this day. That's like switching your model every single day. I can't do that. That's called discipline. Like, oh, I'm going to work out one day and then I'm not going to work out the other day. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Wow. 73. Hey, give it a 1 in the chat for that. If that's actually true and that's a real comment, um, congratulations. All props to you. I hope you find success in this, because that's awesome. Jack of all trades, master of none. That is a fantastic quote. I'd rather be the person that practices a kick 10,000 times than practicing 10,000 kicks one time. CJ, have you ever been on a trading podcast? No, I have not. I would love to probably do my own space on Twitter. I have an idea of creating my own podcast for trading psychology and just kind of talking, but because I could talk for days, man. I really, really could. Yeah, Reiki, I would place all my emphasis on psychology and trade management over technicals, because I could have a very simple model where I'm only entering off of a value gap, and I could be way more profitable than somebody that knows everything about the market, because they can't control themselves. ICT has a famous quote that's really cool, and I want to find it. 390 viewers. If we can push it to 400, I don't think we've broken that yet. So 396. If we can push it to 400, I would appreciate that. But let me find this quote. It's a really good quote. Here it is. You may know my concepts, but because you have not conquered yourself, you will defeat yourself. Such a good quote, man. It's so good. Because basically what he's saying is, you may know all these concepts, you may know everything about the market, but because you have not conquered yourself, you do not have enough self-control, you're going to defeat yourself. You're going to defeat your consistent profitability and what you're looking for. Micaiah, what I would say is either learning from somebody who has more experience, and like I'm trying to do is lend you all that experience when not to trade, and knowing that there isn't always a trade every day. And B, it's unfortunately losses and a lot of pain that you'll learn that, okay, there isn't a setup every single day. I can't force my hand every single day. Some days I just have to sit and do nothing. It's boring. It sucks. There's going to be weeks where you do nothing, but I'm very happy. I'm more ecstatic about doing nothing and not taking a trade when there wasn't anything there than being profitable. I get way more satisfaction out of that. Wellness, I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope over time people begin to realize the value that I do provide, because I've always said it for a long time. I've been posting for a long time, and I've always known that the value that I do bring is very significant. And I just hope that the masses do realize that at one point. Which so far, with the live streams over the last week, we've grown a lot. So I appreciate everybody who is new tuning in. As we move, the silver bullet's done, right? So that's it. If you trade the silver bullet, turn off your computer. Be done. I don't even care if you get off the stream. Turn off the computer, leave the computer. Do not sit here and look at the charts and be induced by them like Medusa, because they will speak to you. If you sit here long enough, you'll find a way to get into this market, I promise you. So cutting off your time when you should be looking at these markets. Don't even look at the markets throughout the rest of the day. If you trade the silver bullet, close the computer, come back at night, review the day, journal it, do your predictions for the next day, and then come back for the next silver bullet. That's the best way to maintain consistency. Alex, I hope so, man. I mean, my goal is not to be a celebrity or to be famous. I do want to make note, as we are displacing here, even though this is after the silver bullet, and I just said not to trade it, I'm just going to analyze what I'm seeing. I'm not saying to do anything. But look at what we've done. We've gotten above the buy side liquidity. We've taken that out. We have a massive SMT divergence, and we have the pre-open sell side liquidity. So I would not be surprised if they run for the sell side in here. When I say they, I mean algorithm. I just use plural sometimes. Justin, if you're still on here, can you answer NT that question? There's a ICT's video. I'm pretty sure it's how to join ICT's mentorship for free. He discusses exactly where you should start on his YouTube channel and where you should start learning. He breaks that down very clearly. Because I'm sure that's a question that he's gotten thousands and thousands of times. And even me, I probably get that 15, 20 times a day. Which is not bad, I understand. J Money. It hasn't closed above the daily SIBI. Closure versus being above it and current price are two different things. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but sometimes that can falsely lead you to believe that it's going to close above it when it couldn't. So, again, I'm not taking any trades today. There's no point. It's just me analyzing. And if you have a problem of over trading or just trying to engage with the market all the time with your live account or funded, whatever it be, I mean, if you feel the urge to do it, just get onto paper trading and just go berserk on it, because sometimes that lets out those feelings, and then you can see like, okay, I would have been wrong here, or even if you're right, quotation profitable, at least you're able to satisfy that feeling, like, okay, I got that out of me. Sometimes I'll do that and I'll put 100 contracts on, which I don't want to do because some people will come to the stream and see that I have a position on. They're going to immediately take that. So I had to be aware of the viewership. Later, Harris. I'll try my best. Thank you for tuning in, brother. Yeah, Riga, you can feel free to post the question. If I don't answer your question, it's probably because I didn't see it and there's a lot of questions flooding. Justin, she asked, or he, whoever it is, where they should start on ICT's YouTube channel. There's a video that he just posted like a week ago, describing where they should start. It's labeled how to join ICT's mentorship for free. Exactly, wellness. I mean, ICT is, he's just a vessel that is showing what God can do for people's lives, and I think he's changing so many millions of people's lives. And if we can glorify ICT and God through teaching other people and showing them what you can do through this, that's the main point of it, and helping other people. I mean, I don't get on here just to stroke my own ego. I get on here so I can help people. That's the main point of it. Thank you, Eric. You just want to know if ICD trades if DXY is moving in the same direction. I've seen him do it before. There is certain criterias, but it's not favorable. It's not something you particularly want to see, especially when you have completely decoupled market with YM and ES doing completely different things. Am I a Christian? Yes, I am. Indicator for the new week opening gap. Oh, that's the wrong one. All right, David. God bless you. See, and then, that's another comment. I mean, if I lose viewership because of my own beliefs and what I believe in, then so be it. I mean, I'm not here to please everybody. And I think ICT loses a lot of viewers because of that, which, I mean, doesn't really make any sense. Like, yeah, this is the input here. So, I mean, I have on this chart just the daily time frame candle and then the 1 hour here. I only have one candlestick. You can have multiple showing at one time if you would like or prefer. But that's all the inputs. Emmanuel, I appreciate that. I think we're good for now. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just so much more of a testimony to God as whatever you want to believe. But I mean, I believe in these concepts and I believe in everything that ICT said, how he's got to this, knowledge. I mean, I don't know how else anybody else could have gotten to this level of knowledge without God. I generally don't see that. But that's my belief and that's my view. If you don't like it, I mean, feel free to leave, man. What's the difference between indices and futures? Indices are a CFD. It's not a futures contract. So in the U.S., we're not actually legally able to trade indices, and that's why you see a lot of these prop firms kind of no longer providing to U.S. clients, is because that was kind of like a loophole. Because on a regular U.S. broker, you're not able to trade indices, but through prop firms, you're able to do that. So it was kind of like a weird loophole, and still is. But I do see that as a complication that these prop firms are going to have. It's the reason why I'm fairly heavily on trading futures and sticking with future prop firms, because I believe that the life expectancy with them should stay a lot longer, especially with turmoil in the world. I mean, who really knows where currencies are going to go? Fiat money. I mean, if that all goes to hell, then I don't want to be participating in the Forex market. I mean, there's always going to be something traded, whether that be futures, Forex, bonds, stocks, commodities, whatever it may be. There's always going to be a market. And if the market completely shuts off, then we have a lot bigger problems that we're dealing with in the world and probably in your own life at that time. So it's not a worry to me. People always ask, is the algorithm going to stop working? No, it's not. And if it does stop working, that means the markets are turned off. And that means that the world is probably not in a good place. And that probably means you should be looking at other things to be doing. So that's not a worry of mine. I don't worry like that. There's no reason to be looking into the future so heavily. Yeah, Jet, he posted a end of day macro trading that. I mean, he has a lot of different tools that he hasn't released to the public, I'm sure for various reasons, and I'm okay with that. I don't care that he keeps things secret. I'm sure it's for his own privacy and things that he doesn't want to release, and he's given more than enough to be profitable. And if you don't think so, then I don't think you've done the work to see what he's released, because it's more than he should have ever probably released to the public. All right, we're nearing probably the end of the stream here, so I'm gonna answer a few more questions. I'm gonna wrap it up. What prop firm would I suggest? As far as future prop firms, I'm with My Funded Futures. I really do love them. I think they've changed the industry with My Funded FX. The CEO Matt seems like a very genuine guy, at least from social media. I like to study the CEOs and kind of the authenticity that they do bring, and if they're kind of congruent with their values and what they do bring. Top Step is another one. You want to look at how long that prop firms have been around for and how many payouts they've had and kind of their rules and things. You don't want to be in a prop firm that's very predator. Like I think Apex is very predator-minded futures prop firm. I don't trust them at all. To be honest with you, I think it's very shady, especially when they continuously keep having 80 to 90% off deals. I mean, that to me, that doesn't scream. I mean, how could that even be profitable for them? That doesn't even make sense. Um, David Chandler, appreciate you. That's all right. Go have a rest of your day. Is Enigma an actual algo ICT made? Enigma is something that, if you look up Enigma, the meaning of it, it means like mysterious. It means not knowing. So to me, Enigma is something that he's created that he's never released to the public and he never will. It's something that he utilizes privately, um, which is fine, man. I don't need it. Oh, of course, Francis. I love Mike Mentzer was amazing, man. Rest in peace. I love the OG bodybuilding guys. They're very, very cool. Tom Platz, all those guys. Eventually, reggae. I mean, I'm going to continuously keep utilizing other people's money and keep pouring into my own money, building a track record for investors and even brick and mortar prop firms. I think that's a very crucial thing that you need to be paying attention to. Is A, what would you do if there was no prop firms, and B, building a long-term track record verified by like a third party to where you can go to an investor or somebody with a lot of money and say, hey, this is my track record, this is how much money I've made, here's my stats, and if they want to fund you, then that's the best option. I think utilizing other people's money for your own benefit is huge, because if you have $1 million liquid, but you got to put that into a trading account, well, then you really don't have that money liquid anymore to utilize for your own things that you want to do in life. So I think utilizing other people's money is very key in trading, and just stacking your own money. Kevin Lauren, yep. I mean, like the video, guys. Thanks for stream. Yep. I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. I've been on here for about 2.5 hours, so I appreciate everybody who's been tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Go over to my Twitter @_CJ Trades. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be live tomorrow for the final day of the week. Have a good rest of your day.